Hello everyone, welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down two of the most dastardly villains in all of Critical Role in D&D, the Briarwoods, and answering the question, just who are the Briarwoods? As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out some of our other Critical Role content, like our Life and Story of Percy DeRollo video, our episode breakdowns, or our Critical Role lore series. Obviously, this video will contain spoilers for Critical Role Campaign 1 and Legend of Vox Machina Season 1, as well at the end we have minor spoilers for Critical Role Campaign 3, so keep that in mind. Okay, let's just get right into it, shall we? Hailing from the Delilah Empire, the couple of Sylas and Delilah Briarwood, while not nobles, would raise to a respectable station and renown within the Empire. Delilah, as a young woman, had briefly studied at the Alabaster Lyceum in Emon, one of the most renowned arcane colleges in Tal'Dorei. However, it's unknown if she's from Tal'Dorei originally or the Dwendalian Empire. A bright and ambitious woman, Delilah would take to the study of magic quickly, increasing her power as she continued to learn. Later, after establishing herself in the Dwendalian Empire, Delilah would go on to work at the Solstice Academy, based in the city of Rexingtrum. Here, she would continue to grow as a wizard, eventually receiving the title of Archmage, and being appointed to the Archmage of Antiquity on the Cerberus Assembly, a group of powerful mages with much political control over this empire. At some point while working for the Assembly, Delilah's husband Sylas would grow gravely ill. Delilah would enlist the most talented healers in the empire, but none would be able to cure Sylas. Delilah, not wanting to lose her husband, set out to find something to cure him. She would manage to find this cure, but on returning home, she would find that Sylas was already dead. Devastated at the death of her true love, Delilah would become obsessed with the pursuit of bringing her husband back to life. She began deep research into necromancy, and oftentimes she would meditate, casting her consciousness out into the astral sea for answers. One day, while meditating, she would scream out in frustration. It was then she heard a voice, no greater than a whisper, creep into her ear. This voice would belong to Vecna, an evil demigod of secrets and forbidden knowledge. The grieving Delilah would follow the whispered one's directions unquestionably, leading her to one of Vecna's secret laboratories. Here, she would discover many secrets of necromancy. Vecna would grant her the ability to bring her husband back to life, the rites of vampirism, but on one condition. Delilah would serve Vecna in his terrible ends. She accepted, returning to her husband's body and beginning this unholy ritual. Vecna would channel part of his magic to enact the rites, binding Sylas as a servant to him as the man rose, now an undead vampire. And now a quick word from our sponsor, you, the viewers. You guys make these videos possible by being active on my channel, so make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. If you'd like to support the channel more, consider whitelisting this channel on your ad blocker, or checking out my Patreon. Now let's get back to the video. Delilah would cry tears of joy, having been reunited with her love. But no happiness would be found here, only the beginning of a tragic tale. Having taken note of Delilah's odd activities and Sylas' sudden return from the dead, the two would undergo an investigation from the Cobalt Soul. You see, necromancy is outlawed in the Dwendalian Empire, so once the undead nature of Sylas was discovered, Delilah would be ousted from the Cerberus Assembly, and the couple would be hunted. Forced to flee the Empire for fear of being arrested, they would make their way to Port Damali. In Port Damali, the couple would discover another fugitive, one Dr. Anna Ripley, who they would conscript to work for them. Here they would travel to Tal'Dorei. Vecna would direct them to a small mountain city of Whitestone, as it would be integral to the demigod's plan. You see, Vecna was once a human who, obsessed with his own mortality, would pursue divinity. However, he would fall short in his grand ascension ritual, but had developed enough of a following to where he would ascend to demigod status. For all the information on Vecna the Whisper One, make sure you check out our Who is Vecna video. Arriving in Tal'Dorei, the couple would title themselves Lord and Lady and make an attempt to befriend the noble family of Whitestone, the DeRollos. The couple would begin recruiting allies within the castle with promises of power and purpose. During a feast held in the Briarwoods' honor, they would make their move, enacting a coup, seizing control of the castle and murdering all of the DeRollo family except for two of their children, Percival and Cassandra. Percival, with the help of his sister, would escape, but not after being brutally tortured. For the next few years, the Briarwoods would begin a grand project, an excavation beneath the castle. There they would uncover an ancient temple, which would be referred to as the Ziggurat. These temples once belonged to the goddess Ioun, this one specifically having sank deep beneath the ground during the Calamity. In addition, they would commission the talents of Dr. Anna Ripley to construct a Whitestone refinery beneath the city, using acid to refine the ore of Whitestone into a highly potent arcane enhancement called residuum. All of this would be in an effort to cast a ritual, one that Delilah believed would restore Vecna to his form. Over time, the city and the forest around it would grow dark and twisted. The large tree known as the Sun Tree lay dead in the center of the city. Many townfolks were murdered, others too afraid to leave their homes, and undead giants roamed the street. Years later, the Briarwoods would have an audience with the sovereign Uriel of Tal'Dorei and his council under the false pretenses of constructing a bridge linking Tal'Dorei and Wildemount. They would later return to Iman, attending a dinner held in their honor, the Briarwoods needing an excuse to get close to Uriel to allow Sylas to charm him. Vox Machina would attend this dinner, one of their members, Percy de Rollo, telling his other party members the horrors the Briarwoods have committed on his city and his family. During the dinner, Vox Machina would send their rogue Vaxel Dawn to investigate the Briarwoods' room and belongings. The couple would discover the half-elf snooping. Sylas would attempt to charm him with his vampiric gaze. Upon this failing, he would sink his teeth into Vax's neck, draining him of his life essence. Vax, greatly wounded, would escape out the window, fleeing for his life, falling to the courtyard below. The couple would pursue the rest of Vox Machina, joining Vax in the courtyard, having been alerted via their magical earrings. A battle would ensue, Sylas drawing an invisible large great sword from his back. This sword would later be revealed to be the blade Craven's Edge, a sentient evil blade that absorbs the blood of its target, making it stronger. Vox Machina would give the couple an intense battle, Percy revealing himself to the Briarwoods. Sylas would jest to his wife upon seeing the lad, "Look, the pup yet lives." In the fight, though, Sylas would be wounded, forcing the couple to flee back to Whitestone, their goal achieved nonetheless. Vox Machina would pursue them, arriving in the city sometime later. They would eventually start a rebellion within the city against the Briarwoods, having discovered Percy's sister, Cassandra, was in fact alive. The couple, feeling a sense of urgency at the threat of Vox Machina, would begin their ritual to Vecna beneath the city of Whitestone. Vox Machina would infiltrate the castle, the Briarwoods trapping them in their Whitestone refinery. It is revealed that Cassandra has in fact been under the Briarwoods' influence this entire time, as she betrays her brother, the room filling with acid. Vox Machina would escape this room, pursuing the Briarwoods deeper underground, the couple having made their way atop the large ziggurat to begin the ritual. Vox Machina would ambush the Briarwoods atop the ziggurat. Delilah would unleash powerful necromantic spells at the party, while Sylas, using his superhuman strength and speed, would attempt to cut down many of their members. The fight would turn dramatically, though, when Keyleth the Druid began unleashing a sundering attack on Sylas, eventually incinerating the vampire into nothing but dust. Delilah, in horror, would cry out, "You can't! I broke the world for us," as she dimensioned door to the top of the ziggurat, intent on finishing the horrible ritual to Vecna. She would read from a scroll, causing the ice on the walls to shatter, revealing countless bodies which wriggled and writhed. She would cut herself, adding blood to a black orb on a platform. As she read from the scroll, the orb would lift in the air, spinning rapidly. Vox Machina would try to stop her, launching several range attacks. She would respond in kind, striking Vexalia with a finger of death, nearly killing her outright. Suddenly, though, something would go wrong. The bodies on the walls would suddenly stop, orb stopping as well, shrinking down to the size of a pebble. Percy would shoot Delilah in the arm. She would fall unconscious, believing that she had failed in her mission, and the ritual had failed as well. To be brought back to consciousness, Vox Machina would question her on the nature of the ritual, not giving much information. Cassandra would kill Delilah, taking revenge for the horrible things done to her and her family. Unbeknownst to Delilah, though, the ritual had actually succeeded, creating a magical siphon that takes energy from the material plane to Vecna's tower in the Shadowfell. However, Vecna would need time and much magical energy before he could use this to make his ascension. Unbeknownst to Vox Machina, though, Delilah had planned for her eventual death. 1 year later, when investigating a second ziggurat and a group of Vecna cultists, one would reveal herself to be Delilah Briarwood, alive and well. She would finish the ritual at this second ziggurat, creating another magical siphon for her lord, Vecna. It's not stated specifically how Delilah came back to life, but we do know that she is one of the most powerful and accomplished necromancers of her age, and backed by the god of secrets. It's my theory then that Delilah used a powerful necromantic spell, Clone, which states that if the original creature dies, its soul transfers to the created clone. Delilah, having succeeded again in her mission, steps into this orb, transporting her to the Shadowfell and vanishing in front of Vox Machina. The party would later pursue into the Shadowfell, battling their way through Vecna's city of Thar and Fala. Here they would see a large great light erupt from the tower, and a voice enter into their minds, welcoming them to the city. Vecna, the Whispered One, Lord of Secrets, lives again. They would climb the Tower of Entropis. Atop it stood Delilah Briarwood, one of her eyes glowing a horrible green. It seems Delilah had been given the legendary evil item, the Eye of Vecna, from her lord. Floating next to her, the horrible vestige of Vecna, the Whispered One. Vox Machina would engage the gimme god and his minions, desperately wanting to stop his ascension to godhood. They would put up a good fight, Percy killing Delilah Briarwood in the battle, putting a bullet through her eye. Vecna, though, would succeed in his ritual, ascending to godhood and transporting the city of Tharenfala from the Shadowfell to the material plane. Vox Machina would escape with Delilah's body. Pike would attempt to cast Speak with Dead, but the spell would have no effect, indicating that there was no soul in the body. It seems Delilah had possibly prepared another clone, or maybe Vecna just brought her back. We're not explicitly told. Vox Machina would manage to escape with their lives, later scrying on Delilah, seeing her alive with both of her eyes. Vecna, now ascended to godhood in the material plane, wanted to take revenge upon the city of Vasselheim and the mortals. He would resurrect Sylas, reuniting the Briarwood couple and gifting them with an undead dragon, once the companion of Archon the Cruel. Vox Machina would again enter the city of Tharenfala. They would be stopped by the Briarwood couple atop their undead dragon. Here, Vex would manage to kill Delilah, for real this time, by hitting her with an arrow to the eye. Sylas, though, would escape, however, in his vampiric mist form. Vox Machina would manage to stop the plan of the now ascended god Vecna, binding him and banishing him from the material plane. Sometime later, though, Sylas would attempt to take his revenge on Vox Machina, launching a surprise attack at Percy and Vex's wedding. He would poison the guests, paralyzing many of them, and then he would attempt to drown Vex and Percy in the ocean. He would be defeated and stopped, however, Vexalia destroying the vampire with a burst of sunlight. While this would be the end of Sylas' story, Delilah's would continue on, as she would become the warlock patron for a certain woman named Laudna. In Campaign 3, we learn that the character Laudna is a Hollowed One, a person who has been resurrected by strange necromantic magic. As well, we learned that they are from Whitestone and were one of the bodies hung from the tree when Vox Machina entered the city. The night that Delilah completed the ritual, a great bout of necromantic magic came up through the sun tree. This was the moment that Laudna was brought back to life. It's possible that in this moment, a part of Delilah took root inside of Laudna, as it was her magic and this strange magic of Vecna, which brought her her strange undead life. It's unknown exactly how this happened, or what in fact Delilah's plans are, but one thing's for certain, she will not rest until her and her husband stand next to each other once more. This was the life and story of the Briarwoods, some of the most evil villains in Critical Role, yet also the most tragic, as it was their great love for one another that sent them down this dark path to begin with, making their story even more tragic and relatable. As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, guys. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you go check out our life and story of Percy DeRollo video, as well as our Prime Deities Explained video. Expect more videos like this in the future. And as always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love, adieu.